Hello YouTube and hello Ninth Age community. This is Charles with Evershed Gaming and I've got another Ninth Age battle report. And this is an exciting one because this is a battle report featuring the new rules for the Saurian Ancients Alpha Lab. That's right folks, the Saurian Ancients Alpha Lab is finally coming out. Finally getting our first taste of the new rules. There's going to be all sorts of videos coming out on YouTube over this next week from the community engagement team on the Saurian Ancients Alpha Lab, and I get the privilege of making a battle report for it. So let's check out the list. So I found myself in the interesting position of not having an opponent to play, but an army available to play with. So I decided that I'd give Saurian Ancients a try for myself and play a list. I made this from scratch, like in a Word document, and I feel like I made a list that was maybe kind of similar to something you might see in the meta, but updated with a couple sort of new units and I would say like new abilities that you can play with. So I have an Honor Rock Archmage. He's got an ancient plaque. He's got a rule called Forbidden Mastery, and he's got an Honor Arc's Wardens, which is basically a change to his base size and more health points. And he's got Druidism Pyromancy. How does he have Druidism Pyromancy? Well, Forbidden Mastery is a new upgrade that you can give to your Honor Arc, and that allows him to take 2 spells from Pyromancy. So he's like an adept in Pyromancy, and he's a master in Druidism. I thought that might be interesting to try. You get a little bit of a malice with casting your Pyromancy spells, and you might take some damage from casting those, but I figured that was offset by Druidism, and I just thought Druidism might be a good combo with this list. Ancient Plaque is very similar to what it did beforehand, where you get to reroll a dice in your magic and a spell phase. It's very useful. Expensive, but very useful. I've got a Tegu Veteran. He's on an Alpha Carnosaur. He's got the Starfall Scales, Halberd with Glory of the Dawn Age, Obsidian Rock, and Lucky Charm. So this guy's got 5 attacks at Strength 6, AP 3. The Glory of the... Actually, maybe even Strength 7, AP 3. I think the Glory of the Dawn Age gives him some strength, too. He's offensive 5. And then he's got an Alpha Carnosaur, which is pretty much just as same as it was before. It's very good at what it does. And this Glory of the Dawn Age, which is now a Spear and a Halberd enchantment, it's still got multiple wounds too. It's when you do Lethal Strike, and now it Lethal Strikes on a 5-up. So this is really just a multiple wounds platform with Obsidian Rock for a little magic resistance, and a Lucky Charm for hopefully that one cheeky save against a arrow. And those are my 2 characters, and they're pretty much eating up my whole character allotment. So I've got, in my core, I've got 20 Skink Warriors. These are Skinks with a shield, and they have a champion with a Enclave Wizard and a Standard Bearer. The champion is on a 40x40. That's an upgrade that happens when you turn him into an Enclave Wizard. And he's got the first spell from Druidism, Healing Waters, which is pretty cool. So that actually helps my Wizard Master be able to choose some different spells from Druidism. I've got 2x10 Skink Hunters. They've got Poison Javelins. I've got 8 Cayman Warriors. These are in my core, actually. They also have a champion who's a wizard. He has the first spell from Shamanism. And they've got a banner, which is a Rending Banner. They are armed with what's called Tooth and Claw, which is an upgrade pretty much for the Cayman units in this new book, which gives them lightning reflexes and lethal strike as well. So they're only strength 4 AP 1 dudes with, I think, 3 attacks. But I have a couple ways to buff my strength and AP, and I figured they need help hitting since they're only offensive 3. I have 20 Tegu Guards. This is where the Honor Rock is going to go. They have Bodyguard for him. They have a Champion, a Standard Bearer with the Koru Stone, and Great Weapons. The Koru Stone gives them Rally Around the Flag in an 8-inch bubble. And then I have 8 Raptor Riders with Champion, Standard Bearer, Banner of Speed, a Carnosaur with a Light Lance and Hunt Leader, Saurian Swarms, 2 Weapon Beasts that are Spearbacks, and 10 Skink Gorillas with Magnetic Short Bows. And that's my 4,500 point list on the dot. So let's go and enjoy the game. Welcome, everybody.
For you.
Hey, look!
Simply touch the area of the screen displaying the appropriate icon.
Are we gonna hit that?
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
What do they got in there? King Kong?
I was reviewing my list right before the game, and I noticed that I actually had a little mistake. I chosen the Honorarch Warden's upgrade, which is a mount upgrade for your Honorarch Archmage, and that actually changes his base size from a 50 by 50 to a 50 by 75. And it pretty much actually makes him, it's an ability for him to be out on his own, which was not something I necessarily wanted since I already had the Tegu guards. So I decided to drop that upgrade, and I hit 60 points. So I got the Rod of Battle and the Conjuration Mastery, which is another one of his abilities. The Conjuration Mastery, it makes it so that he ignores magic resistance, which I think is actually quite good with Pyromancy. And then the Rod of Battle is going to be quite nice for this kind of an army that has a pretty low offensive skill throughout, I would say, on average. Most units, quite a bit of 3s. 4 is kind of the highest on most units. Characters are only really topping out at 5, too. So definitely low offensive skill throughout the army, so the Rod of Battle is quite nice. And speaking of magic, let's take a peek at the spells. There's a lot of spells in this list. There's a lot of spells everywhere in Saurian Ancients. I've got a Skink Champion in my Skink Warriors who has Healing Waters. I've got a Cayman Champion in my Cayman Warriors unit that has Awaken the Beast, which is just awesome. Those are both core units that have spells. I have an Arnarch Archmage who has 4 spells from Druidism, which I took Master of Earth, Flush to Stone, Summer Regrowth, and Entwining Roots. I've got 2 spells from Pyromancy, of which I took Pyroclastic Flow and Flaming Swords. I've got the Rod of Battle, as I just mentioned, which is just is so much better this year than it was before. I've got Attributes and I've got Oaken Throne. I've got so many spells on this single model. And let's get right into the game. So this is the Beastard's deployment. He's got 12 Centaurs on the left, a Cyclops, 3 Minotaurs, the Champ, 8 Hounds from Core, 30 plus Mongrels, his Beast Lord on a Chariot. I'll post his list for all the nitty-gritty stuff in the comments section. He's got a Beast Giant who's drunk. He's got 30 plus Mongrels, the Bannerwald Herd, 2 Adepts in that unit, and a BSB. And then he's got another Cyclops and another Minotaur stick. And here's my list. I've already talked about everything, but I've got Skink Hunter on the left, Skink Hunter, the 8 Raptors with the Carnosaur in it, which is a pretty cool combined unit that you can do now. I've got my 20 Tegu Guards with my Arnarach Archmage, my Saurian Swarms, my 8 Caymans, my Tegu Veteran on his Alpha Cardo, and I think I got my 2 Spearbacks next to him, my 20 Skink Warriors, and then I've got my Skink Gorillas in, I don't think that's the exact right one, but they were on my left flank, the right of this picture, and they did Vanguard up to get a little bit closer. They have their magnetic short bows, which is pretty cool. And this is another picture of the beast's deployment, and my opponent decided to change his vanguard since we still hadn't really gone or done anything yet. So he just sort of wanted to kind of thought he'd change his direction. I vanguarded first. There's King Gorillas. Okay, yeah, I was right. I was looking that up real quick. All right, and Beastard's got turn one, and they move up pretty hesitantly. They're not. I've got a nice kind of charge range with the Caymans down the hill. I've the Raptor riders and the Carnosaur are advance 8, so they're pretty fast. They reroll charges, which is pretty cool. That's just a rule that Raptor riders have now. It's pretty awesome. So he moves up. He does Hasten the Hour on my Raptor riders and kills the champion, puts a wound on the Carnosaur, and kills one of the riders in the unit. He gets Blooded Horn on the big, or I stop Blooded Horn on the big block, and I also stop Savage Fury on, I think just his, I don't know where he cast that, but I stopped Savage Fury too. And this is Saurian Ancient's turn one. I really don't move all that much. I wasn't all that sure what I should be doing. I just moved up my spearbacks to shoot his dogs. I was going to shoot my magnetic shortbows at the dogs. And I moved up my Saurian swarms to maybe be some chaff later. Or maybe lure things in. I wasn't exactly sure what I was doing, to be honest, with that move. And I just kind of knew I was going to be casting some spells with my Honor Arc. I got Pyromancy and Druidism. I got some missiles to throw. And I am able to get my Skink Hunters on the right out of the charge arc of the Minotaurs, so they'll shoot them, and then they're going to try and swing around and do some damage to that Cyclops when they can. I try to get Oaken thrown up, and I rolled a 1, so lose a dice, a bit of a bummer, but it's okay. I do get Master of Earth off on the Centaurs, and I kill 2, so not a bad start. I attempt Summer Growth to get these wounds back, but I fail it, or it gets expelled. And then I also try Classic Flow, and I almost got this off, but my opponent just barely caught me. So I was a little bit bummed by that, because that would have been nice to see these guys crisp up. I shoot with the Spearwrecks and the bows, and I only kill 4 dogs, but they do take a panic test and fail, and they flee to kind of past the mongrels, which was helpful. And then going into my opponent's turn, he charges the Saurian swarms, and they actually, I think they passed their terror test, and I decided just to flee. And that was the Cyclops, so I was kind of hoping I could maybe lure the Cyclops out and then maybe countercharge with the Alpha Carno. And then I want to say he also tried a long charge with the Minotaurs into the Skink Hunters next to the Raptor Riders, and he failed that by 1 too. This is the rest of his movement. Pretty tentative. I think we've both got a lot of unknown going on, and not exactly sure how everything stacks up. He attempts Hasten the Hour, but he fails to cast it. He gets 2 dice back, though. Then he gets Spectral Blades off to deter any charges from me. And, I think that's about it. I think he attempted to cast Blackwing, and I dispelled that. And then, I think he tried Blackwing twice, and I was able to dispel it twice. He tosses a rock here at the Raptor Riders and misses, which was good for me. And then going into my turn 2, I charge my Raptor Riders and the Minotaurs. I needed a 9, and I made it, which is pretty good. And I attempted to charge the Alpha Carno into the Cyclops on the left, right in front of him, and I needed a 10, and I failed it. So I went forward, I think, about 6 inches, which is not great area, but I feel like I had some options maybe to keep them safe. That's a better picture. I am able to get Summer Regrowth. I had huge magic phase. I think I had 10 dice. Got Summer Growth off, built the unit up. And this cool thing about this combined unit is they do have fight next to rank. So those 2 raptors in the back are going to get to fight. I did get Oaken thrown off before that. And then I was able to get Stone Skin off and Healing Waters. My opponent Binding Scrolled pyroclastic flow this turn, which was helpful or good for him that his centaurs weren't going to get burned. But yeah. Yeah, I got lucky here too with Stone Skin. 3 dice to 5. I got a 15. He got a 12. Very, very, very lucky. That basically made it that where I was like, okay, this Alpha Carno is going to be quite safe. Resilience 9 with a 5-up fortitude. It's pretty tough to chew through, even for centaurs. Skinks, they moved forward to poison javelin the Cyclops, and they put 4 wounds through, which I thought was excellent. Yeah. And then the Raptor Riders blow through the Minotaurs, no problem, kill them all before they even get to strike. And they do overrun, but I feel like looking back, I'm like, ugh, really poor positioning. Moving those Skink Hunters, I should have just kept them at 12 since I was already at long range. Yeah, so kind of poorly moved right there, but it is what it is. And then this is going into my opponent's turn 3. His Cyclops charges these guys, and they were just within 8 inches of the commanding presence of the Tegu Guards commanding presence aura. So they passed their terror test, and I decided to hold because I can't really let him. He can just see the butt of these Raptor Riders, so with his big wild horns, so I'm not gonna let him charge. And he attempts a long charge here with the Centaurs into the Caimans. I think he was just. This would have been their turn to charge the Alpha Carno, but I got these great buffs up. They're not going to really do all that much damage, and I think he's feeling like they're just dwindling, so I wanted to use them before they were gone. Brings up his Ambusher. They failed to come up turn 2, and this is where we're at. I think he attempted to do a long charge with the Giant into the Tegu Guards, just to maybe try and take a chunk out of them. Yeah, that sounds about right. And he failed that. It was a long charge. Just kind of thought, fail it. Not going to be in a bad position. Oh, his dogs did rally too. And then this is the rest of his movement. Kind of just shuffles some of his, brings his chaff back out. Kind of shuffles around and, yeah. Brings his Cyclops back. He gets haste an hour on the seated again. So I lose the champion again, lose another guy. And take another one to the Carnosaur. Not terrible. He got the Gnarled Hide Totem off on his Giant. I really wasn't too worried about that, so I let it go. And then I think I was able to stop one more of his spells. Maybe I think it was the Resilience bump on his character. And in combat here, it's kind of not terrible. I lost 5 Skink Hunters. We didn't do any damage to him, but we got away. So, and we're close to rally, so it's all pretty good stuff. Going into Saurian Ancient's turn 3. Attempt to charge the Alpha Carno again, long range into Cyclops. Needed a 10 again, and I failed it again by 1. 6 and a 3. It's a bit of a bummer, but that's okay. I am able to make a decently long charge of 15 with the Caimans. Needed a 9. I had the reroll for the hill, but I was happy to get that into his Centaurs. Otherwise, I would have been in a weird spot where I would have needed to really focus some fire on them, where I didn't have to now. The Caimans are going to take care of them, I'm pretty sure. I'm able to just Swift Reform in advance out of the Arcosite of the Wildhorns. Was tempted to march and sort of be able to kind of wheel all the way around to be able to look at them, but it would have been a minimized 6, and I was not too sure about passing that. I didn't want to fail that and not have the. I needed, the Swift Reform really helped me get to where I needed to be looking. And then, my Skink Hunters are going to either try and finish off the Cyclops, or they might do a couple shots at that Giant. We're starting to really get into the swing of it. I actually used Master of Earth to get rid of the Cyclops. Just, saw a chance to get rid of it and decided to take it. The cool thing about the Aardvark, one of his upgrades, is he's got Conjugation Mastery, which lets him just ignore magic resistance. So I was able to just 2 dice the spell. And I think I got like a 10 on the 2 dice. So it probably would have gone off anyway, but normally it's like, I think he's got MR3, so would have needed. Uh, yeah, I would need still pretty low because it's only a 5 up to cast, but other damage spells, it's a little bit harder on that guy. We get Stone Skin up on these guys just because they are going to be kind of a little bit farther away. I want to make sure they're kind of protected. I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to overrun after this combat or turn and face kind of more of the center units. And then I shoot with the spearbacks. Only able to kill 2 of these dogs. They're really just hanging around, which is kind of a bummer because they're going to make my life a little bit hard next turn. And then I shoot over here. I do 2 wounds. No panic tech, of course. There's 12 guys in that unit. And yeah, this is what it's looking like after shooting a magic. No problem wiping out the centaurs. They do 1 wound to me, because they're only wounded on 6s. And then I did decide to overrun. I couldn't make it into this guy. Maybe if I rolled a 12, I might have been able to get into it. I rolled a 10, but I just kind of figured, they're scoring, so I don't really want to lose them. But I also, the middle just seemed a little too dangerous. There's a lot of things around. I don't want them to be overwhelmed, even with resilience. I think they're resilience 7. They don't pump out. They have a decent amount of attacks, but they're only strength 4 AP1s. I was just kind of nervous about not winning combat, I guess, with them. Yeah. So this is going into my opponent's turn 4. He charges with his giant into the skinks, who flee. And then he charges with his wild horns into the other skinks, who flee, lose half their models going through the building. And then I believe he just sort of... Yeah, he doesn't redirect into the skinks. He didn't want them to... He wanted to see if he could catch them with his giant. Unfortunately, he fails both those charges. He did charge with his Minotaurs and his Mongrels into my Alpha Carno. Failed with the Minotaurs, made it into the Mongrels, which is not a bad plan. Because he's on his own. He's Discipline 8. And at first I thought he didn't have it because the communal bond rule, which is what gives you the minimized discipline, only works in the range of commanding presence, which comes from scoring units. And I thought he was too far from the Caimans, but he was within range of the Skinks. So I did have minimized. But even so, it's a minimized 5, which is failable. Right? So we'll see how that goes. And yep, the rest of moves. This general kind of slides over to support the middle combat, kind of positioning and maybe be able to do something against the Tegu guards, and then the Minotaurs to fail charge. And the Cyclops just gets out of the way of the Caimans. I do get Oakland Throne back up. I'm able to get Summer Growth back off, bring the Raptor Riders up to full strength. It's kind of crazy that it's only 8 dudes in this unit, but Druidism just keeps them around so long. Yeah, I don't really think I got a whole lot of magic off besides that. I wanted to say I tried to get Flaming Swords off, and I failed it. And, or no, I passed it, or I cast it, but then my opponent dispelled it. Yeah, so not a very eventful magic phase. Yep. The biggest thing, though, was... this is that skink fleeing from the, he charged the Longhorns too. And the skink, one skink survived and fled through all the way over to here. And I did pass my break test. That's the other big thing. I killed this champion in the Mongrel unit, and I did pass my break test, which was pretty big. And then this is actually sort of skipping forward a little bit. Because this is my turn. So I guess I had already passed that break test. Sorry, kind of really scooted forward there a bit. Um, yeah, and as you can see, I've just sort of had moved my Raptor Riders towards the center, and I charged his dogs that had chaffed my Tegu guards. And my Alpha Chrono couldn't change ranks the first turn, but he did change his formation to look at the front of my skinks so that they couldn't come and break them, which I didn't really want any of that. Those skinks would just be dying in troves at Brazilians too. And then I did move my Cayman Warriors just right in front of his ambushing Longhorns to see if I can kind of box them in and try and catch them. Currently, I've got all my score units, and I've captured two of his with the Centaurs and the one Minotaur unit. So I'm in a good place with the objective. I don't think I said that. We're playing Capture the Flags, and we played Frontline Clash. Great place to save in the middle of battle report, folks. So yes, this guy had gotten beat up the previous turn by the Longhorns, and he rallied, which was just amusing, on a 3 with no minimized discipline, just straight up 3 on the dice. Yeah, so in combat here, these guys killed the dogs. This guy started beating up on these guys. Nothing crazy. I think I just barely won combat by 1, and then I was able to, and then he passed his break test. So nothing too consequential for my opponent yet. And then this is going into my opponent's turn 5. He actually charges with the Cyclops, and these guys aren't fearless or anything. They're fearless. So they took a panic test and failed it. They're only discipline 7 minimized, so they rolled an 8, as you can see in the dice. They thankfully barely stayed on the board. Yeah, it was super close. And then this lone skink is going to take on this beast lord. Charges here, and then I think that's about it. He moves the Minotaurs over to try and get him away from the Raptor Riders. The Cyclops fails charge. He turns around with his Longhorns, and then I think he tried to charge. I think he just sort of pushed some stuff with the Wild Horns and the Giant. And the Giant just sort of moves over to get along the flank of these units to maybe try and pin down those skinks. He does get Savage Fury off on his mongrels, which is quite nice. No fear tests. But I just end up eating them quite a bit, do quite a lot of damage. And then this is really kind of, we're starting to speed up here. So he killed my skink, overran, almost made it into the spearbacks. And then I countercharged, which I think if he made it the spearbacks, he would have been out of my line of sight. I could just kind of barely see the back of his base. Like another inch would have cleared him, which he needed a 10. So it was definitely a risky move, but could have been very helpful to get the Beast Lord in a crucial spot for some turn 6 shenanigans. But unfortunately, he's getting charged in the flank by Tegu guards with great weapons, which is going to be pretty tough. I attempt a longer charge here, and I fail it, which is a bummer. Even with the reroll. Actually, no, I might have forgot the reroll, but that's my fault. New rules. And then these guys thankfully rally, which was nice. Did not need losing these guys. And I just kind of bring my skinks up to sit in front of the the spearbag so I can do some shooting, and all my skink hunters have just kind of rallied on like base rolls, like 5s and 6s, no minimized, just very kind of lucky to keep them on the board, not just lose those little points. And this is the rest of my moves, which now kind of just move some chaff around at this point, basically. I toss up Stone Skin on the Alpha Chrono because those Minotaurs are close by. And they can see him. Just want to make sure he doesn't get punked. And combat goes very well. We do the general first, and I think we just win by 1. I think that's all it was. He did a decent bit of damage, even being in the flank. He killed my champ with his pig. His beast. I think I rolled 3 1s because we struck at the same time with the Grey Opens and his beast axe. and he killed a decent chunk of. He killed like five Saurus or Tegu guards, but I won by one. And he failed, and we chased him down, which was huge. So kind of with this big thing, my opponent was kind of feeling okay, starting to call it. So we just kind of looked at the board and said, "Well, what's going to happen?" The giant caused a panic all across the bottom of the board here, and I rallied. I think I rallied. I don't even know if I rolled a rally. So we kind of just said those things would be fleeing, which was fine. The Minotaurs were going to get scooped up by either the Carno or the guards, maybe both. The Caimans are actually in a nice spot where they were kind of protected by the Longhorns from getting charged by the Cyclops. And then that's, the Caimans win that fight. And the Cyclops just sort of hides in the corner to save its points, and the big block just sort of turns and saves its points, and yeah, that's the end of the game. It's a big essay win, everybody. Praise vitalism. I had a lot of fun playing Saurian Ancients. I think the lab is looking really cool. I'm really excited to see where they take it. I think they've got some great directions before them. That's definitely a very solid foundation. Totally interesting new take. Everything's like still there. It's just been tweaked and sort of similar roles, but changed emphases. It's really interesting, and just the character and the way the units work is so dramatically different. It's really cool. We don't have anything else like it in the ninth age, so I definitely recommend everybody to check out all the other videos and content coming out this week. This battle report is going to be coming out on August 27th, and then the book is coming out on September 1st. So everyone, please check it out. It's really cool. I can't recommend it enough. I really commend the lab team for this excellent work they've done. And thanks everybody for watching this battle report, and we'll see you soon with another one.